Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to finish up this week, as we always do, with a creator request, which is where a band gets in contact with me and specifically asks me to check out their stuff. Today we're going to be looking at a group called Down Again. It says they have heavy influence from early 2000s post-hardcore favorites like Underoath, Thrice, Defeater, and Brand New. They're a young group and also longtime friends who grew up skating, surfing, and going to shows together throughout the Bay Area. They've assembled a new EP and singles that have the energy and songwriting of a veteran group with the comfort of knowing they're just getting started. Alright, so let's dive into this. We got Down Again, The Fire, featuring Brendan Murphy. Let's see what they're bringing to the table today. They answered that question real quick. So we're starting out at 3/4. Ton of variety. We're only like a minute and a half in, and we're on our fourth distinct section. Yeah, really nice idea there to bring in some weight on that third beat that's been missing up until here. Interestingly, the drums are emphasizing every other beat, which bounces between 1 and 3 and 2. So I guess that other vocalist was Brendan Murphy. I don't recognize the name. I like that rhythmic synergy too, between the vocalist and everyone else. Wait, is this Brendan Murphy? Who is Brendan Murphy? I feel like I should know this.
To be so aware of something that is no longer there, empty, stripped bare. I stare inside, they promise peace. I can't believe I was so naive.
Interesting, we have a bit of a chordal shift as well. Completely changed the emotion of this section compared to the last.
I couldn't escape the flames. Now I can't feel a thing.
Interesting. I think this is the only time in the song that we have heavy dissonance being utilized. I feel like I shouldn't be so confused about this, but it felt like there were two featured vocalists. And I'm kind of curious what's going on there. Like, should I know who Brendan Murphy is? I feel like usually when we have featured vocalists in songs that you guys suggest to me or that we listen to, I'm like, oh, I know that one. They're from this band. And the name's not ringing a bell for me. Um, but yeah, so like, let's get into this, right? We don't need to start with these confusing questions. Let's dig into what the band is actually laying down here. So we have a 3/4 song. I'm pretty sure every section in this song was in 3/4, and there were a lot of sections. We have a series of elements where we typically have the vocalist on top of everything providing a lead melody line, usually a rhythmic or chordal idea going on underneath it, occasionally a guitar providing counterpoint, and we have drums that are laying down the tempo in a variety of different ways. Um, I think the variety, that's going to be the key part here. This song is incredibly varied in a lot of different aspects. So let's start with that, right? I had mentioned we were only like a minute into the track, minute and a half into the track. We had hit four sections already, three different vocal styles, two different guitar techniques as far as styles of playing. We had a rhythmic textural style that focused more on sticking with one note and changing up the rhythm of it, and a melodic side to that. We had drumming that was more technical versus more keeping the time. And we had a variety of emotions from anger to, well, also, I guess, kind of anger, just a more clean anger, more melodic anger. I guess that was kind of the thing too. We had like a textural, rhythmic anger that felt more aggressive, possibly due to the harsher vocals, and then a lighter style that focused more on melody, had more of an emphasis on chordal structures rather than rhythmic ones. And um, and then the fourth section, I think, kind of brought back some of the ideas from the second in a different context. It was a bit lighter. It also felt like a verse. And all of that happened within like 90 seconds. Like it was kind of wild. I think after the fourth section, we went into the one with the faceless flaming skull dude singing. And that brought a breakdown feel to it. We went back to what I think is the chorus. And then after that, we went to the bridge, which was clean piano, female vocals, acoustic guitar, fake out. And so, this 4-minute song has like 6 or 7 different ideas in it. A few of them just being variations on others, which, as I've said in the past, is a phenomenal way of adding depth to a song without actually having to write new things. It is a very smart way, working smarter, not harder kind of idea. Fleshing out a song. And so we have variety in the structural component. Each section is unique basically. The chorus I think is the only thing that really gets duplicated. I don't think there's much of a difference between the 3 times the chorus comes up, or the 2 breakdown sections with the flaming skull vocalist. I think that's Brendan Murphy, but I don't want to lock that in yet. Um, I guess I'm just gonna keep calling him a flaming skull dude. So yeah, lots of variety in the structure of the song, but then we even have variety in the guitar work, right? During the breakdown, we have the harsh, dissonant dyads. We have moving melodic elements. We have tapping. We have rhythmic components where they stick on a single note and play with rhythms. There is one more that I can't. Oh, and then just playing straight chords through the chorus, just providing that foundational chordal element for the melody to sit above. So we have a lot of variety there. The vocals, we have a clean, like an aggressive clean, a little bit of grit in it. We have a pure clean that he utilized in the intro into that third chorus where we had that acoustic fake out. We had the female cleans. We had his growls or yells. I don't know, his harshes. And then we had the Flaming Skull Dude's harshes. So we had 5 different vocal styles in here as well, all within 4 minutes, which means that on average, no vocal style was around for more than a minute. um, Drumming technique is also extremely varied. There are situations where we get more of a rhythmic idea that fits in with the guitars. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but in many of the sections, we emphasize beats 1 and 2 and not 3. Like the da-don't, da-don't, da-don't. That was a common motif that was popping up all throughout here. There's definitely a theme we're going to touch on later is missing something. There's something that's missing. We have 3 beats in a bar. We're only playing on 2 of them. There's this gap. And when we dive into the lyrics, we'll see if that's present in there as well. But, sometimes the drums would line up on this, right? And we get the 2 hits and then a little bit of silence, or maybe, a tom hit. There was a couple of times when it did feel like he was kind of walking down the drum kit. We get like snare, high tom, low tom, snare, high tom, low tom. So it'd be like this little, not a full hit. It's not like a full snare strike. We don't have a nice accent there on beat 3, but it is a little something, almost like and a remembrance, a reverberation, the phantom of an idea kind of concept. But then other times he would go into straight metric stuff and just holding down the time signature for everyone else in the group. And I thought this was really interesting because normally when you would do this, you would do what I just talked about. You would emphasize some of the beats in the bar consecutively, and like what I just talked about, with the snare hit on 1 and then the toms on 2 and 3, you get that accented 1, which gives it a waltzy feel, which is interesting because the song didn't feel like a waltz, even though they occasionally did enter this. But you get that 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, very smooth and flowing, very waltzy. This song is not smooth and flowy at all, which is quite interesting that they can interject a waltz rhythm into a waltz time signature and not have a waltz feel. Don't know how they did that. That's wizard's work right there. But instead of choosing to do something like that is static and rigid against a single bar, this drummer decided to go the extra mile and make a drum phrase that fits across 2 bars, where he emphasizes every other note with a snare strike. Every other beat, sorry. So we end up getting a strike on 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, and it makes it feel simultaneously even and uneven. It is consistently every other beat, but it also fights against what the guitars are doing by emphasizing the beginning of each beat, or the beginning of each bar. And it sits in this strange, interesting place, like I said, of being balanced and imbalanced simultaneously. Every bar feels different from the last, but on a higher level, more macro view of what's going on, it fits. It's perfectly balanced. It's symmetrical, right? You just have to look a little higher than bar by bar. And it stood out to me a lot because I think up to that point, the drummer was mostly filling in rhythmic structures that were that was what the guitars were doing. If the guitars were playing 2 beats and leaving a space, the drums were. If the guitars were emphasizing, 1 and 3, that's what the drums were doing. And at this point, the drums separated themselves. And like I said, that moment really stood out to me as something major. Normally, I don't go back and listen to stuff, but I want to check the chorus real quick. This will only be a second. Oh yeah, the chorus was in 3. Yeah, I remember that part now. That part reminds me a lot of Sick Puppies. Sick Puppies wrote a lot of songs with concepts of 3, and there is a I can't remember what song it is. It's been a long time since I checked out the album. I'm pretty sure it was on Tripolar though. Uses the same idea. Da 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 da, moving into that dotted quarter note idea. So instead of having the 3 moving parts, we have one note that goes over all 3 beats. Yeah, I can't think of what song that is, but that's what that reminds me of exactly. That front top vocal melody line there, really dig it. It's not something I hear too often, so maybe that's on me. Maybe it happens a lot. Maybe it's more common than I think. But at least in my experience, it's something I don't hear too often. So I like it when it happens. Um, but that's another. I was talking about synergy between the vocals and guitars somewhere in the reaction during one of these chorus lines, and that's what it is. Both of them are moving from hitting every beat to changing notes every 3 beats, which starts to give it that little bit of waltzy flow before moving back into the strong movement again. That's exactly what I was talking about. Um, then the breakdown section, like I said, it introduces extra tension. There's dissonance included here. Um, and we get that nice call and response between the 2 vocalists. And I want to bring up the bridge. The bridge has a key change, or maybe not necessarily a key change, but at least a modal change. The emotion of the section is drastically different. The notes that are component to the melody line are just slightly tweaked from what we've heard previously. It's a very different emotion entirely. And it's accompanied by a shift away from all of this electronic aggressiveness. And I say electronic, not like electronic music, but electric guitars. Maybe I should have just said electricness. But from the harshness of the distorted guitars and the screaming to a piano and an acoustic guitar, and more vulnerable vocals. Even when the lead singer is singing cleanly, even without the grit, just a little cleaner, there's still power to it, right? It's still a very chest voice, very wide. There's a lot of power behind it and width to it. And when the female vocalist comes on, it's more contained, right? We do have the multi-layering on it where we get the octave above the chest voice. You get the chest and head kind of going together, but it's still sort of a narrow, quieter. There's less reverb. There's less width to it. It's a very vulnerable section of the song, and that paired with the mode shift and the instrumental shift, it just drastically changes everything about the thing while retaining one of the melodic ideas. The piano picks up something that the guitars do earlier. I can't quite remember which section it is, but it is a recontextualization of something they've already written. Once again, I'm a huge fan of stuff like that. But what I think is strange about it is that it just seems like it doesn't fit. And I don't know why. Like the recontextualization right there should tie it directly into the previous works very strongly. And I'm not sure why it doesn't. And it might even be part of the acoustic fake out going back into the chorus, which I don't think worked extremely well as a transition. I think it's an interesting idea, and maybe when I dive into the lyrics, it'll make sense on an artistic level. But it seems kind of like, hey, we should do this kind of idea rather than what would support the song. We should do this because it has symbolic meaning to the song or whatever. And instead it feels like, hey, other bands have done this. Let's do it ourselves. And it doesn't really seem like it fits here. And maybe that transition kind of makes it feel out of place because it's tied so closely to it. Maybe just a little bit of acoustic foreshadowing might have helped me with that section. I don't know. Of course, down again, if you're watching this, these are just my personal opinions. I'm one dude with my own biases, listening to a song one time and giving my opinions about it. By no means am I saying it needs to be changed or anything like that, but to me at least, there's something missing. And I don't quite know what that something is, but there's a connective tissue that needs to be applied between the the rock part of the song and the acoustic part of the song. And again, I'm not like we already have the tie of utilizing uh, a similar melodic line, and sudden transitions into heavier or softer sections is not something that's irregular. Bands do that all the time. Shifting intensity, mode shifts to change atmospheres and emotions. Like, nothing here is intrinsically wrong. I can't really point to anything that I say, oh, that's why this feels out of place. But to me, it does. There's something that's just missing. It feels just a little too divorced from what everything else was previously. Um, and I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's an artistic decision, and we'll check it out in the lyrics and be like, oh, it all makes sense now. I get it. But I think that was really my only negative aspect with the track. Everything else is just phenomenal. The musicianships here, I love the variety. I would have liked an embellishment or a variation in that final chorus. That's something that I say about every song. I feel like, so don't take that one personally. Just a pet peeve of mine, I suppose. I don't even seem to get a lot of uh, support on that one in the community either. Like, Bryan, that's just the way things are. But no, they shouldn't be. I like my final chorus. You want me to listen to the same section 3 times? Give me something new on that third time. Give me something new on the second time, even. Speaking of something new, I really enjoy how the verses are all different. Like I mentioned, I kind of grazed past this earlier, but we went through 4 different ideas back to back in the first 5 different ideas back to back in the first minute and a half, 2 minutes. And of those, we had verse 1 and verse 2, and they had very different vibes to them, very different feels, and I appreciate that. It's a way of telling the story through the music as well as the lyrics. And speaking of the lyrics, I think it's time to dive into them. We talked about the musicianship, we talked about the structure, we talked about themes. Did we talk about themes? Oh, yeah. Something's missing. The 3/4. That's really the only big theme I think I picked up in here, is how often the beat 3 was left off in some of these sections. There's also just a lot of anger in here. So angry at something's missing. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting out of the music. So yeah, let's dive into the lyrics and see what's heading on down here. Now, the song's called The Fire, and they're starting it off perfectly. There's nothing left to save. Ashes consume everything. And I'm pretty sure this is where the song was going crazy. We started the song at 11, right? Really took me aback. Just lots of noise, yelling, guitar work, drumming. So I think, as far as thesis statements go, this is a perfect way of starting a song. You know what you're getting in for. They're perfectly encapsulating the destructive power of fire. Lyrically, they're talking about its destructive power. Musically, we have this large force, loudness. It's a very violent beginning of a song. Really great way to begin that. I can barely see, the fire is getting too high, the smoke is clouding my eyes. I can barely breathe, the fire is getting too high, the smoke fills my lungs. Okay. I'm sick of this. Every answer I get leads me nowhere. So keep your mouth shut just this once, or I swear you can burn too for all I care. Now, see, here's where we finally get an answer. What is the fire about? And it seems to be the death of some sort of something between 2 people. It could be a relationship. It could be just being upset at somebody else. A random stranger, disses you on the street or something. I don't know. I guess that might be a little bit of a jump. You diss me, I'll burn everything down. But I mean, you get the idea. It doesn't necessarily need to be a personal relationship. You just be upset at people, right? Um, Although there is some familiarity, so keep your mouth shut just this once. There definitely seems to be some understanding of this other person. Um, so it says it only takes one match in the right hands with the worst plans. It only takes one dance. I should know. I learned firsthand. This is very cool because the rhyming schemes are in batches of three, which matches with the 3/4 going on. Um, so we have 3 lines per. It only takes one match in the right hands with the worst plans. It only takes one dance. I should know. I learned firsthand. Very different. Even when we are in 3/4 in other songs, we typically still stick with the more traditional 4 line stanzas. So yeah, I appreciate that, bringing the three into the lyrical metric concepts as well. Um, Oh, I learned firsthand with the devil in a red dress, spilling every dirty secret, bending words, exposing my nerves, and it burns as my doubts creep in. So, yes, this definitely seems to be about a failed relationship, and the other person did them wrong. We don't get the other person's perspective, so I'm just going to have to take their word on it that they had no they had no part in this. The other person was just a devil in a red dress. They were completely innocent in this relationship. Yes, I'm being a bit facetious there. Ignorance is bliss, and there's only one way you can keep it, so keep your eyes sealed shut, or you'll see it. Take it back, all the lies, all the time, and take it back, my life. Okay, so like I said, anger, rage. There's definitely somebody very upset behind these lyrics. And a specific other person has led them to this anger. It says, I'm sick of this. Every answer I get leads. Oh, yeah, goes back to that. It's the chorus. To be so aware of something that is no longer there, empty, stripped bare. I stare inside. They promised peace. I can't believe I was so naive. All I can see are ashes and debris. I couldn't escape the flames. Now I can't feel a thing. This is introspective. This feels like. Okay, so if we take this song as not just anger at someone else, but looking at it through the lens of grief, we have anger in a lot of this. But it almost feels like in this section, this is where the female vocals came in, isn't it? Okay. Uh, so things are kind of lining up now. I'm not sure I enjoy the way they're lining up personally, but I can at least see the art behind it. And appreciate it on that level. So this is, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a perspective change to the devil in the red dress, or if this is just supposed to be what happens at the end of grief. Jumping forward in time to a moment where this person burned everything down and said, oh, snap, this was not the best thing I should have done. Right? I can't believe I gave into the darkness. I stared inside and they promised peace. So I gave into that anger. I can't believe I was so naive. And now all there is ashes and debris. Right? And I couldn't even escape the fire. So now I am numb. Right? I've been burned up along with it. This is an introspection on past actions, basically. And so there's a huge divide, no, a huge divorce here between the anger that exists everywhere else in the song and this self reflection. So it makes sense for a huge musical shift, too. We change key, we change emotion, we change format, or not format, style. We shift to acoustic stuff, we bring in the vulnerable vocals. I mean, it makes sense for all this to be represented in a completely different light. And it kind of even makes that acoustic guitar fake out into the chorus make sense as well, because we immediately move right back into the anger. So it's almost like a moment of clarity. We're like, oh snap, I see where this goes. this is not a path I want to walk down. Psych, I'm walking down it anyways. Like, and yeah, it's, oh man. So I kind of see how, I mean, even lyrically, this moment of the song is so very different from everything else in it. Um, and there's almost even a bit of nihilistic giving up. In the end, he repeats the idea that I won't control this flame until it burns everything. Earlier he said, I swear you can burn too, for all I care. Like, you know what? If the fire takes you, that's fine as well. But now he's saying, I'm going to burn the world. Everything's going to get burnt before I decide to finally control this. Um, and I mean, from one perspective, right? I think they did a fantastic job at taking the concept of feeling betrayed, because that's what this kind of comes to right here. It says, I learned firsthand with the devil in a red dress, spilling every dirty secret, bending my words and exposing my nerves. So, this person's been betrayed. And I think this song does a fantastic job at capturing the initial emotion, that initial burn of feeling betrayed, and the anger that comes with that, right? As with all grief, anger is definitely a good starting point. um, but I also think that the message here is that, well, I don't know if I can really, because is this a story, right? Or is this firsthand experience? You know, the lyricist, were they betrayed when they wrote this stuff? They ended a relationship, and they didn't want it to end. And like, man, I got to make a song about this, and they write these lyrics down, and like it captures that specific moment very well. But on the flip side, it even says in a moment here, everything is going to burn. I can't believe I was naive following this path. And I was really kind of hoping at this point the song would shift and turn and say, you know what, I'm better than that. And make this third and final chorus, bring it back, but change the lyrics just a little bit to show a growth of personality, a growth of person, of maturity, and say, you know what, I would like to see everything burn down, but you're not worth it. That kind of vibe I thought would have been fantastic. And we could have even incorporated some of the acoustic elements, which would have been the growth and the sense of peace and calm into this final chorus. So not only would we have a variation on the lyrics, we would have a stronger message about how to get through some of this stuff, and we would have incorporated the bridge strongly into the song to solidify it as a part of it rather than an isolated section. But again, I want to want to point out again, I'm not saying this has to be done. Just giving my opinion. Just giving my opinion on this. I am getting a bit passionate about it because I really like how all this works together. But if it wasn't what you were aiming for, down again. Completely skim over this topic. Um, but instead, we get this message of, I could see that I could fix everything, but I'm going to ignore that, and it kind of revels in the anger and revels in the anarchy and the nihilism. And I'm not personally about that. I think like I said, as a work of art, artistic expression of an emotion, I think it's phenomenal. But I do wish the message was a bit more positive. And that's not to say all songs need to be positive, but I just feel like this had the opportunity to, like, you added the self-reflective element and then didn't dig into it. It was just sort of there. So I don't know what it means on its own, other than the psych out acoustic bit going back into the heavy chorus, which makes the entire message of self-reflection feel like a psych. I don't know. That whole thing kind of rubs me a little wrong, but like I said, there's a lot of really great stuff going on in here. I'm looking at a very small section of the song, and there's a lot of other elements in it. I dig the passion, I dig the musicianship, I dig the variety all throughout. I still can't get over the fact you guys put like 5 different ideas together in 90 seconds and didn't make it feel rushed and chaotic. There was a bit of a flow going on there. It all felt sort of naturally coming together, and you guys have a fantastic thesis statement to this song. The music and the lyrics both come in and embody the concept of fire. We start the song at 11. So, yeah, fantastic job with this. Um, So I guess those are my thoughts on Down Again's The Fire featuring Brendan Murphy. Uh, Down Again, guys, if you're watching this and you don't mind letting me know what's up with the dual featured vocalist concept. I'm just a little confused about that one. And who is Brendan Murphy? Is he Flaming Skull guy? Is Flame? Well, oh, that's something else I forgot. I saw at the very end, in the final breakdown, your guitarist was doing vocals with Flaming Skull guy. They were harmonizing growls or harshes. I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm wondering why that didn't happen more during the song, having the guitarist harmonize harshes with the lead singer. Maybe that happens in other songs. You know, I'm looking at a very small section of your larger works. You guys have an EP out. I saw you had quite a few songs on your YouTube as well. So you know, I can't expect everything from one song. That's an unreasonable expectation, but it is something that I would like to see if I check out more of your works. I thought that was a really cool moment. So yeah, everyone else, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what's going on. Let me know if you enjoyed this or not, anything that stood out to you. I think this is my longest, deepest look at a creator request. 30, we're at 37 minutes. I don't think I typically have this much to say about a creator request. So, I mean, Down Again, that speaks volumes for you guys. Um, when you're done commenting, head up to the description box. There are all sorts of links to check out more from Down Again. I have their socials in there. You can check out their YouTube page, all sorts of stuff. If you guys could subscribe, like and subscribe, ring the bell to their page, to my page. And yeah, that wraps it up for this week. Patrons, we have a live stream on Sunday at 11 a.m. EST. Everyone else, I'll be back on Monday, 5 p.m. EST, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, we'll check out our next theme and some special selections. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.